car. Okay, so am I taking this for granted? No, not at all. Okay, but because when you take things for granted, when you're not grateful, okay, and I'm gonna show you guys my vision board. When you're not grateful, okay, so this is my vision board, and this is the car that I have now. Okay, it's on my social media. You can go look at it. Okay, this is not hype. Okay, but this is a vision board of the car and the interior of the car. Okay, and I want one just like this. I want another one like this. Okay, I like the color blue. I could go for silver or platinum, but I like blue. So the last two cars have been blue. This one is sitting in my garage right now. Okay, that picture right there, that's sitting in my garage. Okay, and I think I like it. You know, but here's the thing, I put it on my lock screen. Why do I put it on my lock screen? Visualization. Okay, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. So visualizing something brings it into being. Why? Because it keeps it top of mind for your subconscious. It's subconscious training. Okay, it's not witchcraft, it's not voodoo, it's not anything evil. It's your subconscious. Okay, so every time I lift my phone to look at my phone, guess what I see? I see the car. Okay, and when I see the car, it's a reminder to my subconscious, this is what we're working on. We're working on this. Now I'm a little bit different. Okay, I use my lock screens, I use my wallpaper for productive purposes. Okay, so if I'm building a company, then I'll put the company logo on there, or the graphics that we make for the company. If I'm like this, like I need to get a lease. Okay, so my lease is up in November. So right now I already have my vision board. I'm already looking at my vision board. Okay, now this doesn't mean that just because you say, okay, it's going to be a lease anyway, you're going to lease a car anyway, so why the vision board? Well, have you ever thought of you get a better price sometimes? You know what was really funny? Okay, now I don't know, you can say this is a coincidence, okay? But I've been talking to the girl at Mercedes, the girl that's gonna be responsible, the salesperson that's gonna be responsible for putting everything together. And I've been talking to her, right? And the funny thing was, my lease, this car that I have now, the same one you just saw, okay, is like $750 a month. She gave me a quote. It's like $725 a month, and I'm like, what? So what I'm really telling you is sometimes you get a better deal. Sometimes you get a better situation. Okay, when you don't take things for granted. So when you start visualizing, right, you're not taking for granted that God is just going to drop a card in your life. You have a goal. Okay, I don't care whether you have money or not. If you have, let's say you have $500,000 in the bank. Let's say you have $500,000 in the bank, and a measly $5,000 down, and $725 a month is nothing, right? Let's say you consider it nothing. Let's say you consider $750 nothing. But then you visualize. Then you start putting it top of mind, right? Then you get a better price. Okay, maybe you get a better deal, maybe you get specials, maybe whatever. That kind of thing. So you never know, okay? You never know what's going to happen because it's unpredictable, right? And now we have tariffs, we have all kinds of different elements that may not guarantee, like the old days, right? The old days, oh, okay, it's going to be there, it's going to be there. But I did this for every car. I do this for everything. I do it for my car, I do it for my shoes, my clothes, my watches, my glasses. I do it for everything. Before I got my last pair of glasses, these are reading glasses. I have a pair of sunglasses that I had to do prescription for, right? And before I did that, before I committed to buying it, I went down to Lens Crafters and I tried on the glasses and I took a picture with it. Okay, I took a picture with it. because I had to see myself with the glasses. Okay, and I put it on my vision board. And then my birthday was coming up last year, and I went down to Lens Crafters and I got it for my birthday. Okay, there was no special circumstance for that. There was no special price. There was no special anything. It didn't, nothing weird had to happen, or something manifest like that didn't have to happen. But I'm just saying that I don't take anything for granted. Now, when you don't take anything for granted, what are you doing? You're being grateful. You're appreciating. Okay, when you're taking something for granted, you're not being grateful. You're not appreciating. Okay, so this step in manifestation, okay, the step where you give something your attention, that's your conscious mind. Okay, now that the focus is on it, now that the attention is on it, it goes into your subconscious. Your subconscious goes, oh, that's what we're working on? Okay, it starts giving you confirmation of it. Okay, and that confirmation, like for a lease, it may be, oh, that's a good deal. Or, nah, maybe that's too high. Maybe you should go to BMW. Maybe you should go to Volkswagen. Maybe you should go to Ford. Maybe you should go, whatever. Go look for something else, somewhere else, right? So there are variables. There are variables for everything. Okay, so when you take attention and intention and then you marry it with emotion, now you are in alignment with universal coincidence. Okay, what do we call universal coincidence? We're talking about divine intervention. We're talking about divine grace. We're talking about it coming from God. Okay, so I'm gonna remind you that everything comes from God to us from others. Okay, so you have to do your part too. Okay, and I learned this. I had to do this. Okay, and even in my business model for all of my companies, well, the companies that can do it, some of my companies don't are not involved in that way, but two of my companies are, and what we do is we give extra time. We give extra time, so we give more in value. Okay, and that's the real trick, is to give more in value than you get compensated for in dollars. Okay, always give more in value than you get compensated for in dollars. But gratitude is a good practice to get into. I do like I have a random gratitude practice. And what I do is I turn off my car when I'm driving down the street or something on my way to a meeting or whatever. I turn off my car and I look at everything that I'm passing. I look at the people walking the dogs, and I say thank you. I say thank you, Father God, for those people. I look at the trees and I say thank you, Father God, for those trees. If it wasn't for the trees, we wouldn't have air. Just think what would happen if we didn't have trees. We wouldn't have air. Okay, well, not as much air, right? And here's another thought concerning trees. If the tree produces oxygen and you breathe oxygen, you are one with the tree. Okay, so everything in the world works together. Human beings are all linked together. That's the first universal law, the universal law of oneness. Everything is linked together energetically, by energy, by what's in here. Okay? And what's in here is awareness. And awareness is what every human being shares. You are awareness. And this awareness brings you everything you are. It doesn't necessarily bring you everything you want, but it brings you everything you are. What does that mean? When I first heard that, I didn't know what that meant. I'm like, bring me everything I am. What? Yeah. So, if you desire something, right? You can only get it if you're on the same wavelength, the same vibration. So if you're not on that vibration, you're still going to get stuff, good and bad, but it just won't be at that level or on that vibration. It will be your respective vibration. And you will receive you will receive and give at that level. So not everybody has a Porsche. Not everybody wants a Porsche. I never wanted a Porsche. You know, I did. You know, Mercedes was my goal in 1990. That was my goal. Okay, I didn't get there till, I don't know, 9 years ago. I didn't get there till 9 years ago. But what I'm saying is that, have goals, right? I wasn't at Mercedes level when I wanted a Mercedes. I was at Toyota level. I had a $400 Toyota. Nobody saw that one. Okay, nobody remembers that one. That was, you know, that was back in the day. And then from there, it went to a Jeep Cherokee. Then it went to a Nissan Maxima. Then it went to Infinity. Okay, Infinity is just the higher Nissan level, right? And then a string of Infinities, and then Mercedes. So what I'm saying is there's a progression. So everything starts small. Okay, I don't know how much smaller you can get than a $400 Toyota, but that's where I started. $400 Toyota. Okay, well actually, yeah. Then there was another $400 car before that. It was a Ford Granada, my first car. But then, yeah, at the time I made the affirmation for the Mercedes. That's what I was driving, was a $200 Toyota, or $400 Toyota. But anyway, the point is everything starts small. So don't be afraid to start small. Costas, in addition to manifesting in objects, can we also bring a specific person in our lives? Um, yes, and well, there's a condition to that, Costas, if they want to be in your life. Because the only thing you cannot do is intrude on someone else's uh, freedom of choice. So let's say you like a certain girl and she doesn't like you, it's not going to work out, okay? Because she has her own uh, preference. She has her own choice, okay? So everybody has free will. Okay, you cannot impose your will on somebody else's will. At least not in that way. You can forcefully do it if whatever. But I mean, yeah, that's not good. Uh, but yeah, just remember that you cannot intrude on someone else's free will. That's the rule. So you can also write down, Costas. You can also write down. Let's say that girl doesn't like you. Okay, here's something you can do. Let's say that girl doesn't like you, and you need to write down. Just write down what you like about her. Okay, you're very welcome. Just write down what you like about her. Maybe she has long blonde hair. Maybe she has blue eyes. Hi, Rosanna. Good morning. Maybe she has, college education. Maybe, maybe she, uh, is physically fit. Write down these things that you like about her. Okay. Ah, thank you, Rosanna. Thank you so much. Thank you. Write down the things you like about her, Costas. Okay. You're going to meet somebody with those qualities. Okay. We tried that on the radio. We tried that live on the radio once, and it worked for all three people that were writing it down. So, yeah, that works. Okay. Thank you for the hearts, you guys. Thank you. So, anyway, so attention plus intention, okay, plus emotion equals manifestation. Okay? Your attention is your currency. When you pay attention to something, it intensifies. Your intention is what's important. How long can you hold your focus? How long can you focus on one thing? How long can you focus? Oh, you're very welcome, Rosanna. Very welcome. How long can you hold your focus on something or apply your focus to something? That's very important. You know why? Because God needs time to work. Okay? If you want to call it God, you want to call it source, you want to call it universe, you want to call it, higher intelligence, infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it. It takes time to work. Nothing happens like that. Okay? Nothing happens like that. So if you're constantly changing your mind, then, right? So you decide, the conscious mind makes a decision, goes into the subconscious, okay? Now the subconscious starts working on it, starts to confirm these things. the superconscious starts to work with the subconscious, starts to open the doors as you proceed, as you walk towards it, right? Or as you work towards it. Then what happens? Well, if you change your mind, it would be the conscious mind making the change. Okay? And this is why I always tell you guys that God is like a GPS. God works like a GPS. When you change your mind, because GPS, right? It maps out a way for you. But if you know the shortcut and you go this way, what does the GPS do? The map is like this. It starts thinking, right? Starts spinning, right? And what happens? Then it lays out the path the way you went to show you what's available, to show you your option. God works like that. Okay? Because if you keep changing your mind, God's going, wait, 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 wait. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Right? God needs some time to map everything out because other people have to come into play. Other things have to line up. Okay? And doors have to open. And this is why people say, well, you need to have a fixed plan. You need to apply your focus. And you need to focus on this thing and be sure that this is what you want. And I'm also going to add that you need to be mindful of what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. But when you're sure about what it is you want, because a lot of times we're not sure, myself included, I'm guilty on that. Okay, always. So we're not sure. When we make a commitment, when we decide and we go, okay, I want that. There's been lots of times that, I haven't really been happy with what it is that I manifested. And in that case, I just pivot, right? Over here, get what I want, go, that's not it. Then I pivot over here, go after that one. Okay? It works like that. But if you start out here and God hasn't had a chance to bring you whatever it is your goal was, and you switch and you change your mind, now God has to line up that. And if you change your mind again, God has to line that up again. So what does indecisiveness do in this case in manifestation? It confuses the heck out of God. So God is trying to make a plan for you. God is trying to open doors for you, but you keep giving mixed signals. I want to do this. No, I think I'll do this. No, maybe I'll do this. I don't think so. I'm going to do this. Right? So everything in the world, everything in the universe, everything starts small and then grows. When you make a commitment, just stay committed. Here's the trick. And this is what I learned. Just stay committed until you get what it is that you set out to achieve, and then make a decision like, okay, well, yeah, that wasn't all that. I don't think I really want that. And it's okay, let it go. Or if it's a material thing, sell it or whatever it is. Okay? Then you can change your mind. Then you can work on something else. Then you can refocus, reframe, refocus, right? I always say reframe, refocus. But then you can do that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. There was a time where, I wanted a new car and I got this certain car and it was that's how I felt about it. And then after a few months, I just did not want it. And I brought it back to the dealership. It was a brand new car. And I had bought it. And I brought it back to the dealership, said, no, I want to do another deal. I just don't want the car. And so they did it. And yeah, I lost money on it, but to a girl. And watch what happens. Watch and see if she's receptive or if she pushes you away. Okay? And I'm talking about the proper attention. I'm not talking about psycho attention. I'm not talking about following her around town. Okay? I'm talking about friendly, warm, sincere, genuine attention. The young boys now they always ask me, right? Oh, uncle, how do I get chicks? How do I get dates? How do I, do all that stuff? And I have to tell them these things. We have a website for it. It's called modernmalesconfidence.com. It's part of my life coaching company. It's a branch of my life coaching company because young men need to learn how to be men. They need to learn leadership. It's all about leadership. It's all about making decisions. It's all about being proactive. It's all about leadership. If you don't know how to be a leader, you can kiss the dating world goodbye because you're just going to get scraps. You're going to get the dates that nobody else wants. Okay? Because you're not leading. It works in dating. It works in business. It works in your personal life. It works for your purpose. It works for everything. Okay, so be a leader. The equation in action, okay? The equation in action is attention plus intention equals coincidence. When attention and intention come together, okay, something magical happens. Okay, not magic in the magic sense. This is subconscious, okay? But something magical happens. Alignment with the universe. Let's say it another way. Alignment with nature. Let's say it another way. Alignment with God. Okay, because God lives in here. The kingdom is within. Okay, Jesus Christ told us the kingdom is within. Everything you need to succeed is already in you. It's already here. Okay, you just have to discover it. Discover, uncover, all of that. But it's in here. Okay? You start experiencing what many call coincidences, right? Or synchronicities. But they're not actually random at all. They're actually your personal reality catching up with the frequency you've been tuning into. Okay? So let's say you want to date a girl and she goes to church. She doesn't drink. She doesn't smoke. She doesn't swear. She doesn't do any of those things. She has a totally different vibe. Okay? And you know that in order to date that girl, right? You can't drink. You're not going to drink around her, right? Because she doesn't drink. Okay? You're not going to swear because she doesn't swear. Okay? You're not going to smoke because she doesn't smoke. You're not going to do drugs because she doesn't do drugs. You see? So now, just by making those little changes, what's going to happen? You're going to raise your frequency. You're going to raise your frequency to meet hers. Okay? So if she was like this and you were like this, you're going to raise your frequency and meet her there at her frequency. And in that sense, she will be good for you. Okay? But you will meet her at her frequency. And this is what that's talking about, because when this happens and you meet her at her frequency, good things start to happen. And you start to experience things that happen in that frequency. And when you do this, and when you're sharing love, okay, let's call it love, let's call it good vibes, let's call it, something amicable. When you're doing this, you're producing good karma. Remember yesterday when we were talking about the field? Okay, and I was telling you that I work with introverts. And when they, when they get questioned about stuff, it's like you're not even questioning them in a negative way, but they just start, they just start striking out or being defensive or, like that. Okay, and it's perception, right? It's not really their fault. It's just because they're introverts. Okay, but I told you that when they send those vibes to the field, to that energetic field that some people call God, it's returned to them in kind. Meaning if they send good vibes, or if they're producing good things come back to them. if they're striking out at people or they're lashing out at whatever like that, right? Those vibes come back that way. Okay, so these coincidences that start happening are happening because you raised your vibration to meet hers. Okay, or his, doesn't matter. Because in order to meet her at her vibration, okay, it means you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't do drugs, you can't swear, right? Now you've bettered yourself. Why? Because of her. Okay? Because you rose up to meet her at her level. Now, you might get bored. You might get bored. You go, oh man, this is boring. Or you might go, wow, this is a new way to live. Okay? And this is how women upgrade men a lot. Women upgrade men like this a lot. They set the bar. Because men are famous for doing in Hawaii what we call any kind. Okay? Men just go. They roll with it. They roll with the punches, right? They take the punches, they do something, they make a bad decision, they get thrown down, they get back up, they go back in the game, that kind of thing. Right? And then a woman comes along and organizes things. Then a woman comes along and sets the bar. Then the guys start to follow the woman's lead. Right? I'm not saying that she's the leader. I'm saying that she's the one in this lifestyle that's actually good for him. And he knows if he wants in on that, if he wants in with her, he's going to have to conform, basically. I've had several relationships like that, and I had to conform. Did it do me good? Yeah, it did me a lot of good. It educated me, it enlightened me. It raised my vibration. I attracted better things, better opportunities, better clients, better everything. Because it's a higher vibration. Okay? So when that happens, you get these coincidences. Okay? When you're with the right person, you go to the right restaurants. You go to the right churches. You go to the right places. You don't even see the guys that you used to hang with. You don't even see those people anymore. Does your level always have to connect to dominate, but you can attract frequency yours, then what? Chisel. Let's see. Chisel Cummings. How you doing, man? Let me see. Reality checks. Yeah, adaptations. There you go. Yeah, strictly adaptations, of course. But those are good adaptations. Does your level always have to connect to dominate? No, you don't. Yeah, I'm not on board with dominating. I'm on board with sharing. I don't think you lead females. You don't dominate females. If you dominate females, that's not gonna last long. But you can attract frequency. Yours, then what? Finish your comment, Chisel. I like that comment. That's good. I need it to be complete, and then I can answer it for you. But yeah, so if you're asking me, does your level always have to connect? Yeah, your level has to connect, and sometimes you make the corrections, okay, in order to hang with her, okay, in order to be with her. And sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes you're the one with the standards, or you're the one that because sometimes women pursue, okay. Um, Generally, it's men pursue, women choose. That's the way it normally works. But we're seeing a change in this. We're seeing women pursuing now. And we're also seeing men that are reluctant to pursue. Okay? And we're seeing women that have to do that extra work. They didn't have to do that work before in the old days. Okay? So, and a woman that pursued in the old days was not looked at favorably. So it wasn't an ideal thing for a woman to do in the old days. It was a different world, okay? So now it's a different world, and women actually pursue. I think it's pretty cool that women can pursue without fear of discrimination or without fear of judgment. I kind of like that. I think it's a freedom thing for women. I think it sets them free. I think I think there's nothing wrong with a woman going up to a guy and going, "Hey, you want to go grab a bite, or you want to go to a bar, or whatever, you want to go dancing." I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. Um, so I look at that as being favorable. Um, but you attract your vibe attracts your tribe. So you do attract women who are on your wavelength. What I was talking about, with guys that go up to her level, is when you meet a female, and maybe, hypothetically, maybe she goes to church, she doesn't swear, she doesn't do drugs, she doesn't smoke, she has this higher vibrational lifestyle. And if you want to be with her, you need to conform, right? Because otherwise, it's not gonna last. It's not gonna play out. So that's what I was talking about. And when you go up to her level like that, you have raised your vibration, because in that case she has set the bar for you, because you want to be with her. You want to be up there where she is, figuratively, right? But you want to be in that vibration with her. So men do that a lot. They clean up their act because they want to be with a high quality woman, and they and when you're with a woman, if you're astute enough to know how to handle women, okay, and I don't mean handle as manhandle. I don't mean that. But if you know how to understand women, if you know how to deal with women, then you're going to know what kind of woman you're dealing with, and then you're going to know how to deal with that woman. Okay, it's not as simple as one size fits all. Okay, it's not like that. Okay, if you're with a woman that doesn't swear very much, you're not going to swear. I mean, you're going to make adjustments. If you're with a woman that swears all the time, then you'll swear, or whatever, um, or whatever she's comfortable with, you will be comfortable doing. If she's not comfortable with it, then you're not going to do it, because you'll be respectful, and that's what it boils down to. It boils down to respect a lot. Okay, so let me just kind of finish up over here. But thank you for your question. Costas, when one of the two people is toxic, can there be a balance in the toxic person from the positive? Okay, I think what you're asking me is, can the toxic person be positive, or can the toxic person come around? Yeah, and in that case, she would need your help. Okay, because toxic people love the mess that they're in. Human beings in general. It's not just toxic people. Um, when we have, so if a person is toxic, they have learned to be toxic. It's in their subconscious. It plays as a program. Okay, so when a person is toxic, uh, they have been living that way so long that they really don't see themselves as toxic. um, and you have to point it out. But if you love them, if it's somebody you love, then you have to use kid gloves, so to speak, right? And kid gloves is an old school expression, and it just means you have to do it delicately, okay, gently. You can't just point out someone's faults and say, "Here, look, this, that." You can't do that. You have to be gentle. You have to be kind. Okay, so kindness, generosity. You have to be generous with your time. You have to be kind to them. Okay, you have to be gentle, understanding, compassion, all of those things. You have to be compassionate. You have to understand what they've been through, or at least try to get an idea of what they've been through and talk to them, ask them. But yes, you can get a toxic person to turn around. Okay, but the deciding factor will be, do they want to turn around? Okay, that will be the question. Do they really want to turn around, or do they want to remain toxic? Because sometimes we love our bad habits. Okay, and this is all subconscious. The subconscious learns to be toxic. Okay, so if you're around toxic people, a lot of times they don't see it. Okay, they don't see that they're toxic. You're very welcome. They don't see that they're toxic. But you can't go up to a toxic person and go, you're toxic. You can't do that. You have to use compassion. You have to use kindness and love, and you have to do it slowly and delicately. Okay, but they'll come around. They will come around. Absolutely. Okay, so your daily formula of of the mathematical equation to luck, okay, or to good things. So visualize where you want to be, okay? Pay attention to what supports that. In other words, where you want to be as opposed to where you are. Okay, so this is called goal settings, right? Goal setting. So pay attention to where you want to be, set daily intentions towards the goal, right? I always tell you guys, focus on the goal, focus on the target. The goal is the target. Focus on the target. Trust that what you need to have to show up for that goal, or what you need to accomplish for that goal, will show up. Okay, observe coincidences. Okay, and say thank you. Coincidences and synchronicities. Boy, those are big words. So, coincidences, right, and synchronicities. What's the difference? Well, a coincidence is something that turns out, and the way I explain it, it's either your way or God's way, right? And when you make the plan and it doesn't turn out, and then something happens, maybe another person comes to be involved, maybe another element to something else happens, another door opens, and then boom, you get your goal. That's a coincidence. Maybe. Maybe it's God, right? Or however you believe. I'm not here to tell you how to believe. Okay, but that's what I'm talking about. So when something turns out like that, it's like, oh, coincidence. Okay, that's a coincidence. Synchronicity is different. Synchronicity is like you're in your living room and you're talking about a certain subject and you see it in a commercial on TV. Okay, that's synchronicity. Synchronicities are confirmations. Okay, so, just this morning, Jay and I had a synchronicity because we were talking about something yesterday. And today, she saw an article and she sent it to me about that topic, about the same thing we were talking about yesterday. So you're going to see synchronicities if you look for them, or if you know what you're looking for, or if you know what synchronicities are. Okay? So Gen X, how many times do you write the affirmation down? Just once in the morning and then read it at night. Yeah, that's all you need to do. You don't need to get crazy with it. I mean, if you want to write it, more than once a day, then do it in the morning and then at night. But read it out loud because you want to do it with your voice. And the reason why, okay, so I'm going to explain it why a lot of people don't explain why. They make it sound like, black magic or something. And the reason why is because your subconscious recognizes your voice over everyone else. Okay, your subconscious is more familiar with your voice than everybody else's. So you want to write it. When you write something, it goes in your subconscious. When you type it in your phone like this, it doesn't. It doesn't go in your subconscious. So write it once in the morning, speak it at night. Okay? And if you want to write it at night and then speak it, you can do that too. If you want to write it in the morning and speak it in the morning, that's fine. But the reason you do it in the morning is because your brain is in theta state. Okay, you're relaxed. You haven't begun your day yet. No coffee yet. That kind of thing. So do it then. And then same thing at night. Right before you go to bed. Right before you turn out the lights. Everything's relaxed. You're okay. That's a coincidence in the coincidence category. Okay, run into your friend and you're talking about a steak dinner on the weekend, and you see the meat truck drive by. That's a synchronicity. So that's confirmation. And that means that maybe, yeah, you should, and I don't put my faith in that, though. I put my faith in God, so I believe differently. But the people that believe in synchronicities believe that those are divine messages, confirmation. So that if that happened in that context, then the steak dinner would be something to do, that kind of thing. So that's how they look at it. So anyway, okay. So I got a couple more minutes. I have a client checking in. I'm trying to do everything in real time. There we go. Okay, we're doing this. Yeah. So I gotta get to clients pretty soon, guys. But I'm here every morning from 7 to 8 Hawaii time, And today we're talking about the mathematical equation to luck, okay? So let me go over the equation again, okay? Because some people like beat around the bush and whatever, and you know, I just had to give a lot of examples, but it's attention plus intention plus emotion. That's it. Okay, so the attention is committing to the idea. Okay, that's the conscious mind. So the attention, right? The focus comes from your conscious mind. You focus on something. You tell your subconscious, this is what we're working on. Okay, and that's why the affirmation, that's why you speak it out loud. Yeah, Gen X, no problem. No problem. You're very welcome. And that's why you speak it out loud. So it goes in your subconscious. Once it's in your subconscious supports it. Okay, it pulls details for you. Okay, it pulls confirmations for you. And the superconscious, or God, okay, I'm not here to say what to believe or whatever, okay, but the superconscious, God, okay, will bring the right people at the right time. The doors will open as you take the steps towards your goal, and you will receive what it is you're after, okay? And if you do affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization, all 4 pillars aimed at one thing, it cannot not happen. Okay, and that's how I've done everything since 2007. And the how is always God's job, so I never know how. I never know how I'm going to do whatever. I just say, okay, we're going to do this. And then I start taking the steps towards it, and things work out. Okay, and the reason it works out is because in my mind, God is real. Okay, so when you trust that, when you trust in God, or trust in yourself, because God lives in here, the kingdom is within. Jesus Christ told us that. Okay, and I'll leave you with that today. The kingdom is within. Everything you need, every solution is in here. All you have to do is go within. Okay, close your distractors like this. Okay, close them. Go inside. Ask, believe, and you will receive the answer. Ask, believe, receive. Okay. Yep. Jay is going. See you tomorrow. Okay. Have a great day, Manuel. Thank you for joining us. Yes, Dallas. No problem. You're welcome. I don't have anything to sell you guys. I'm not here to pitch you for anything. No courses, no whatever trip to the Bahamas, nothing like that. But anyway, we'll see.